good afternoon, bonjour, bonsoir à tous. Bienvenue au Wada Forum. Welcome to this week's edition of Wada Forum. We're so glad to have you all with us today. We're joining you online as others in the Cardano community are meeting together in Dubai for this year's Cardano Summit. So I think we'll just have to wait until they travel back because of the time difference, and there's some different events that are happening there live. It wasn't possible to have that live update with us on this call today, but hopefully in the future session next week we'll get some updates on how that went. So for today, we'll be giving you some updates from our different communities, in particular with Catalyst and things going on with Intersect. Also want to give a chance for some reflections on the Intersect board and committee elections. We've been showcasing different candidates in our past week's session, and that vote has come to a close and members have been elected. So we want to reflect on that a bit. And then we'll have our usual Cardano Governance Corner. We'll give some updates on the DREP, talk about some of the different governance actions that are actually live for vote right now, and then have our little space for the constitutional workshop attendees, the delegates and the alternates, to check in and talk about how preparations are going. So now we'll go into the knowledge base. This is something we wanted to start making more prominent. Yeah.
Don't
Sorry,
forget the
Samuel.
French. Don't forget our French folks. Maybe you might want to do a quick
Ah,
introduction before. Yeah, sorry.
bon, sans souci. Cette semaine, nous allons parcourir un peu les mises à jour de Catalyst et d'Intersect. On va avoir une rétrospective des élections d'Intersect et on va avoir notre coin de gouvernance. Comme d'habitude, on va vous donner les mises à jour du DREP de WADA. On va parler de certaines actions de gouvernance qui sont live maintenant pour voter. Et il y a aussi le check-in pour ceux qui vont voyager en Argentine dans quelques mois. OK, c'est bon. So knowledge base, we just kind of wanted to make these links a little bit more prominent. You could obviously get updates from us here, but to dive into it a bit more, or if you're new here, and anything we're saying is too foreign, we encourage you to do some of your own research and get some more background information on the different areas that we discuss, Intersect, Cardano Foundation, and SingularityNet through these different links. Bon, quelques liens de ressources pour ceux qui sont nouveaux dans cette communauté, qui n'ont pas déjà assez d'informations de base sur Intersect ou sur Cardano ou sur SingularityNet. On vous conseille ces liens pour vous mettre à jour. All right, so our statement of purpose today, I think if everyone is fine, I'll just read these ones. So our mission, it's always good to remind us why we're here, why we're in this space of Wada Forum, is to elevate underrepresented groups through the application of technology and invest in a more equitable future. Notre mission en français, c'est promouvoir les groupes sous-représentés grâce à l'application de la technologie et investir dans un avenir plus équitable. All right, next we'll go into the previous meeting recap. And if I could get a Dufois to come to the stage and give us a quick recap, and then I'll summarize it in French.
Okay, hello everyone. So just a very quick recap of what we discussed last week on the forum. So for Catalyst Fund 13 updates, last week we said that, like we've been saying for I think 2 weeks now, the submissions for Catalyst Fund 13 have closed for all the other categories except for the partners category, which remains open till November 7th. Yeah. And we also said that participants were encouraged to move to the next phase by promoting their proposals, engaging with other proposals on idea scale, commenting, building connections, sort of active engagement. Yes. For Intersect MBO updates, we had three key discussions. The first being the Intersect annual members meeting, which took place in Accra, Ghana, with satellite events in Kenya, Goma, DRC, and in the north of Ghana. So the meeting provided a platform to reflect on the achievements, challenges, and future plans of Intersect. Then we also spoke about the Intersect elections and candidate introductions. So we had several candidates introduce themselves on the call, sharing their motivations for running for the Intersect board and committee elections. Then lastly, for the Intersect updates, we had preparations for Argentina event and delegate challenges. So there were delegates on the call who discussed their preparations and the challenges that they were facing, especially with the visa processes. So we had delegates from Cameroon who were waiting for their invitation letters and experiencing delays in communication with organizers. Some of the delegates in Ghana had received their invitation letters, some hadn't. So after that, they needed to travel to Nigeria for visa applications due to lack of an embassy in Ghana. So there were also discussions about coordinating travel to Nigeria for efficiency in visa processing. And lastly, on the call, we had some updates on the Wada rep. So the pool was showcased, and as at last week on the forum, we had a voting power of 11.79K AIDA with 4 delegates, yes, as at last week. So we're encouraged to delegate the Wada rep pool using the Eternal mobile app or going on Twitter and getting the DREP ID and delegating as well. Yes, so we said that the Wada rep pool will focus on all 7 governance actions and will ensure that there's preparation and participation in Cardano governance. Thank you. Megan, can you please?
OK, merci beaucoup, Edoufoa. Bon, pour récapituler la session précédente, la semaine dernière, nous avons donné des mises à jour du Founder 13. Bon, nous avons annoncé la clôture des soumissions du Founder 13 à part la catégorie de partenariat, qui est encore ouvert jusqu'au 7 novembre. Il y avait 3 points sur les mises à jour d'Intersect. On a parlé des réunions annuelles des membres d'Intersect qui se sont passées en Centrafrique et au Ghana. Nous avons aussi vu certains candidats du board d'Intersect. Et nous avons aussi eu un coin pour avancer avec les préparatifs de l'événement en Argentine. Pour certains délégués, ils ont déjà eu des passeports, ils attendent les lettres d'invitation. D'autres ont reçu leurs invitations. Ils attendaient maintenant le processus du visa. On a compris que pour la plupart de nos gens, ils vont devoir voyager au Nigeria pour obtenir leur visa pour l'Argentine. Il n'y a pas, par exemple, un consulat d'Argentine en Ghana ni au Cameroun. Alors, on espère qu'ils vont se réunir là-bas au Nigeria autour du processus du visa. Et finalement, nous avons eu les mises à jour de notre DREP de WADA. On a une 11 000 délégations de ADA, 4 délégués. Alors, nous allons avoir le progrès avec ça tout à l'heure avec Nana Saf. All right, so to kind of update a little bit, we talked about kind of what's going on in Fund 13. So right now, things are closed for editing. It was a little bit strange this round. I'll just talk from personal experience. They had the official close, of course, on the 16th. But there seemed to be a lot of back and forth with the moderators, even a week later, doing different editing, suggesting category changes. In particular, since they cut out the MVP phase and they just have product and concept, this round, I think there was a lot of projects who were aiming in that product category who weren't technically qualified for that category. That category was very specific that you needed to have a working product that's being used by members in a live environment. So having kind of a fully functional MVP is not the same as having a product. And I think that that was kind of the biggest thing. So, I've heard stories of proposals who actually got switched from product into concept. And then, of course, since the category budget requirements are different, if the proposal itself had been switched, you needed to update your budget to fit within the requirements. There was a cap of 500K for the product category and only 150 for the concept. And so if you didn't update your budget, the proposal was kicked out and you'll have to try again next round. But that's just some of the different things, I guess, from this round that I noticed in particular. Other updates are that the community review period is starting. And so I think we've gotten over most of the hurdles. Last week, we're talking about, the registration for that. I think that has all been resolved and we're entering into actually starting the reviews. Maybe Samuel, do you want to jump in with anything I missed? And then I'll quickly summarize in French before we go into the next
No,
point.
just a few questions I have for you in terms of the proposal editing and the switchings and things. Is this a regular practice? Is it has it got a precedence, or is this just an isolated case or something new that is being kicking with Fund 13 rules?
Well, that's a good question. I wouldn't say it's particularly new. I think they had quite a bit more proposals than in past rounds, and therefore they weren't able to get to all of this stuff in as timely of a manner as they have before. So it felt different because it felt like it drug on for a little bit longer than it was supposed to, but it's the same thing that's kind of always happened. And even continuing forwards, it's possible for proposals to still kind of be proven to disqualify for the category if, they don't, for example, if you are in product and you don't have a product on the market, you don't have users using it, that's still up for debate in the community review period. But they do try to, and this is not new, that they do try to kind of go through a first round of the actual, Danny and them of kind of going through and making sure proposals are in the correct category. They tried to do their due diligence, right, of commenting on the proposal first, and trying to give you a chance to respond. But you have to really be very active and alert for those kind of things because once they comment, the turnaround time is pretty quick for you to
Yeah.
need to respond and readjust.
But was there adequate time for proposers to go through these changes, communication to them, and the fact that they have to get time, review their budget and things, or was still within the
Well,
same
so
timeline?
I have some different perspectives on that. I think yes and no. Though the one team that I talked to who had their proposals moved didn't feel like they were given adequate warning and instructions on how to do the editing. So that was a bit unfortunate. But other teams who were able to just defend that it was in the correct category had more success.
I see.
Bon, en français, rapidement, je voulais vous donner quelques mises à jour du Fonds 13. On a parlé du clôture de soumission de Fonds 13 depuis la semaine dernière, le 16 en particulier. Mais ce fonds, bon, ils ont prolongé ça entre guillemets pour essayer d'aider les proposeurs à changer de catégorie quand ils étaient dans les mauvaises catégories. En particulier, comme ils ont annulé, bon, il y avait 3 tiers dernièrement. Il y avait concept, MVP et produit. Ils ont annulé le deuxième tiers. Ils ont seulement concept et produit. cette fois-ci. Alors, certains qui ont mis leur proposal en produit ont été un peu trop optimistes. Ils n'ont pas un produit fonctionnel au marché. Ça doit être un produit qui a des utilisateurs, qui est déployé dans un environnement live. Alors, il y avait quelques soucis avec ça. Ils ont prolongé les... bon, c'était surtout les modérateurs qui ont travaillé avec les proposeurs de essayer de changer les propositions, changer des catégories, même une semaine après le délai. Alors, ça, c'était un peu une chose que j'ai notée avec ce fond, que je n'ai pas beaucoup vu dans les fonds précédents, quoi. À part ça, nous avons commencé la période de review des membres de communauté. Alors, l'inscription pour ça est déjà fermée et ceux qui sont enregistrés sont déjà en train de commencer leur travail, de faire les reviews sur les propositions. All right, maybe we can jump into intersect. So on the intersect side, last week we went over the actual candidates. Well, voting results are in, and the members have been elected. I wonder if there's anyone here who wants to offer any any of your experiences on the process, either as a voter or as a candidate, how you felt the process was, if you got elected, shout out to you. Is there anyone here who would like to share?
Yes, Megan, I was a voter. I was also a candidate as well. And in terms of the process, yes, Intersect organized things very well. I think through it all, communication around it and giving candidates the opportunity to, showcase themselves, sell their messages in terms of why they should be voted for. All that was done. The unfortunate thing is that for some of us, the X spaces that was provided for candidates to showcase themselves during our category, if I can say, the time was set that it was very odd time here, and that was around like 12 a.m. my time, and I couldn't join. So that was the only thing. In terms of the voting, I think it was good. Everything was on point, and the results also released in a timely manner. I want to talk about myself first, and I'll relay some information on behalf of Mercy. It looks like in our community, Mercy was the only person who was elected to the budget committee, which is good. She's expressed her appreciation to the community for all the votes that she got. And I think it's exciting for all of us since she's on there. I'm sure once he's very active in the wider community and the ecosystem as a whole, he can be influential in terms of, selling the story of Africa, and it's going to have some impact on all that we do here. I also want to take the opportunity to thank everybody here who may have voted for me. Unfortunately, I didn't win. I had some votes though in the steering committee and the MCC as well. Thank you very much if you voted for me. Let's go again in April 2025, where there will be another round of votes. I wish that we can, as a group or as a family, strategize and take advantage of these things, because, Megan, these voting processes and everything, getting elected and things, is about how you build your network, how you know people. My experience was that there were too many people vying for votes in various categories, especially the MCC, and that would be some sort of a blocker for your winning chances, in terms of the fact that, okay, so we are in the community. I know a lot of people in this Wada family, and you see you have about 6 or 7 people, vying for the same position, who do you vote for? That limits some chances. So my little experience going forward, maybe in the next voting rounds, we can decide to push some people uh, to some committees and all, back them and vote for them and see if we can push them to the best decision making body. That's a little I can say. But again, I'm very thankful to everybody. Thank you for voting for me. And yes, let's do it again in April. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Samuel, for sharing. I see you have some support in the chat for that idea. So perhaps we can continue that kind of conversation in this space as we start to enter into the next, the next voting. Maybe I will just quickly summarize in French for those to just be aware of what
Megan,
you're
maybe
talking about.
the other people who also want to share their experiences. Solomon is on the call. Solomon was one of the committees. I guess he voted as well.
I'm just going to summarize quickly in French, and then
Okay.
I'll invite the next person up. So if you want to raise your hand, if you're prepared to talk about your experience, then I'll call on you right after. Bon, Samuel a parlé de son expérience sur son candidature pour les comités différents d'Intersect. Malheureusement, dans notre communauté, il n'y avait que Mercy qui a été élu pour le comité de budget. Bon, ce qui est une très bonne chose. Mais ce que Samuel a souligné, c'est le fait qu'il y avait plusieurs membres dans nos secteurs, dans nos communautés, sur le même comité qui pouvait excuse-moi, qui pouvait qui pouvait diminuer les chances des autres d'être élus. Alors, il propose que la prochaine vote, nous stratégisons un peu mieux pour ceux qui sortent sur le vote pour avoir des meilleures chances à être représentés. Parce que comme, par exemple, il y avait peut-être une dizaine ou même une vingtaine dans le comité des membres, ça donnait, chacun prenait les chances des autres en divisant nos votes. Alors, peut-être pour les prochaines séances de vote, nous pouvons faire une meilleure stratégie pour représenter le continent d'Afrique. Anyways, who else wanted to share? Solomon, I hear Samuel calling on you, but I didn't see your hand raised.
Yeah.
Would you like to speak?
Good evening again. Ghana.
Okay.
Yes. I'm on
All
a
right.
transit, and I'm sure there's a bit of noise in the car, maybe some network interruptions along the way. But I think, yes, one of the experience I also realized, and I was even talking with Jerry, my colleague, and was the fact that we have limited number of people who would have fight in for the votes, and then all of us could rather support. That would have been much better when we had the intersection together. I remember at the point, Jerry would have to, register some people to be members of Intersect, to be able to vote for that. And I was like, okay, when you vote for him, remember to vote for me too. We laughed about it. But I think that going forward, if we see those who have the better chance, then we can give them opportunity and rather back them up, push them up. Then after that, we can have ideas to be given out collectively, then together the community can be empowered. Yeah, I think so. With the little experience I also got, I realized that we were so many and we were friends as well. So who do you vote for? Who would you not vote for? Became a challenge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think someone
Okay.
is on the right path.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Bon, pour ceux qui n'ont pas bien entendu, il a répété les mêmes sentiments de Samuel en termes de notre besoin de coordonner mieux pour les prochaines fois. Et souligner le fait qu'il y avait des amis contre des amis, sur les comités et c'est ça qui rendait difficile d'être élu. All right. Well, it was good to hear from both of you. Perhaps I don't see any other hands, so perhaps other people don't have anything to say. Shall we move on to the next point? And I hope Nana Safo is still here with us. Oh, okay. Nope.
Yeah,
We
I
have
am.
something. Sorry. I spoke too soon. I forgot about this agenda item. So in terms of intersect updates, what we talked about last week was giving the hubs a chance to present a bit more concretely on their updates. So in the past, we've had the different regional intersect hubs present on the launch activities, etc. We wanted to give a specific time slot to the 3 different hubs to actually present with visuals from your event. So here's the schedule. We're kind of just following the order that the hubs were launched. So next week, we will have a presentation from the Goma Intersect Hub to give you some more visuals and insight into that event. The following week, we'll be hearing from the Accra Hub, and then the week after that, the Nairobi Hub. So just if you're involved in any of those hubs, take note of your time slot. We will be reaching out to individuals more specifically, but just look forward to that for next couple of weeks. Bon, pour résumer, nous allons avoir les présentations des hubs régionaux d'Intersect dans les prochaines séances du Wada Forum. La semaine prochaine, nous allons entendre du hub du Goma du Centrafrique avec certaines photos et visuels de leur expérience. Après, le hub du Ghana ou l'Afrique d'Ouest et après Nairobi ou l'Afrique d'Est. Okay, I think now we get to pass it over to Nana Safo to hear about the WADA DREP.
All right. Thanks, Megan. Maybe you should get some cup of water
I
or maybe
know.
a glass of water. I can see you struggling. Well, I mean, once again, thank you, and I'm glad to be here today to share updates about the WADA DREP. As promised, each and every WADA forum, we are dedicating a part of the WADA forum time to get in touch with the community about how the WADA DREP is faring. And this, in essence, is our little way of ensuring that the community who is delegating to us are inclusive of whatever it is that we are doing as far as governance is concerned in the ecosystem. So if you are here and then you are delegated to the WADA pool, I just want to give you a quick shout out and say thank you for believing in us and then trusting us with your voting power. Going forward, we will surely be engaging you through several means to solicit your ideas and your thoughts on governance action before we proceed to make the utmost decision to to construct our vote on individual proposals. So do stay in touch and then don't go anywhere. Next slide. Richard, am I on there? I'm actually not to my phone, so you may have to pardon me. I'm going by my own slides. It is awkward. Oh, let's see where we are. Okay, awesome. So as of the last WADA forum, as alluded by Edufwa, we had about 11.79K voting power delegated to us. And then that was coming from 4 different delegations. And quickly about the time, today is another time where we have probably grown. I would say we have appreciated in terms of the numbers, because as it stands now, we have about 20K delegation, which is voting power. But as it works, whenever a delegation is made, for instance, if a delegation was made in the last epoch, at the epoch boundary, it will be calculated and it will be added to the stake that the pool was having. So as of now, if you check on the various portals, like for instance, 1694.io by Lido Nation, or if you check on the Gulf tools, you realize that the delegation over there is about 13.74K, which, that is what you see, but in essence or in actuality, we have about 20 point something K, because there's been about 7K delegation in this week, which is in the new epoch, which is going to end probably 2 days from now. The new epoch will be ending, then it will be calculated and then be added to the voting power that exists. So yeah, currently we have 7 delegators in total, and then that is the figure. That you can see. So we have some delegations coming in from epochs 513, epoch 515, 516, 517, and then 515. So I think the latest is the 517, which has not yet been added to the current stake that we have. On that note, I would want to urge you, if you're listening to me, if you're watching, probably after a recorded version, do want to look out for the Wada DREP ID, and then hop on to either Eternal or Yoroi and delegate to us, so that we can, all together, represent the voice of Africa in the governance of the ecosystem. And there's also a good news. The good news is that the Yoroi team has finally released an update to their mobile wallet, and that update is 5.0. And that particular update allows for mobile wallet users to delegate to DREPs straight from their mobile wallet or mobile application without having to worry about getting the web version. So if you are listening or if you are watching and you don't have a computer or a laptop and all you rely on is your mobile phone, then you can just, delegate to the Wada DREP using your mobile wallet application. And I have prepared a comprehensive tutorial on that, which will be sharing very soon. It will soon be on the Wada YouTube platform, and the links will be shared across our socials and platforms so that you can have access to it to be able to assist you in delegating to the Wada DREP. And I would also want to pass a quick announcement before I leave room for any questions that there is of. So the announcement is that in the coming days, we are going to send around an application notice, or let me say a member onboarding notice. So if you are a member of the WADA network, or even if you're not with the WADA network and you are watching this particular video or session, and you are interested in being a part of the WADA DREP, then do look out for the onboarding notice that will be flying around shortly, so that you can also get a chance to register your interest, and then hopefully, if things go well, get to be a part of the WADA DREP team, so that together we can deliver excellence for the entire community. Thank you. At this point, I'll pause and then take if there are any questions, and then that will be it. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks so much, Nana Sapo. And if anyone has questions, you can also feel free to type in the chat while I'm quickly summarizing in French for our French audience. Nana Sapo a présenté notre DREP de WADA. Bon, si vous vous rappelez, au début du session, nous avons parlé de la semaine dernière qu'on a eu 11 000 délégués. Il a parlé d'une vingtaine de mille maintenant. Sauf que ce n'est pas tout encore en chaîne. On attend le fin du époque pour que ça poste là-bas. Ce qui est posté actuellement, c'est vers 14 000, il a mentionné. Mais on attend la fin du époque pour que les autres apparaissent là-bas. Il a également noté une mise à jour du portefeuille Yoroi, la version mobile, qui vous donne accès à déléguer vos aidants sans avoir la version desktop. Alors, pour ceux qui n'ont pas d'ordinateur, qui font tout sur leur téléphone, vous avez maintenant la possibilité aussi de déléguer. Et sa dernière annonce, c'était de garder l'œil ouvert pour une invitation de nous joindre, de joindre le DIREP de Wada, l'équipe, dans les prochains jours. On va circuler une annonce. C'est ouvert à tout le monde, ceux qui sont en train de suivre ce message, ceux qui sont déjà impliqués en WADA ou ceux qui veulent nous joindre. Maintenant, c'est ouvert aux questions. Si vous avez des questions pour Nana Safo ou sur le processus ou sur son direct en particulier, c'est ouvert. I don't see any questions in the chat.
Maybe I have a question.
Would
I have a
anyone
quick
like
question.
to? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Thank you very much for all you do, the commitment and everything, bringing us this information back to back on the weekly forum. I want us to talk about confidentiality in the delegation process. Assuming I delegate to WADA DREP, how is my identity protected? Is it something that anybody can just see that, hey, this person or that person has delegated, or there is some element of secrecy people don't know? Can you throw some more light on that?
Yes, of course I can. And thanks for that question. I think it's a very important question. You know, earlier this week, I was really wondering as to why, you know, we've been on Wada forums for like at least, I mean, 3 consecutive times after the Wada DREP was launched. And each and every time we have, I mean, members on board who are listening to what is happening, right? But I was wondering exactly why, you know, the delegation is not flowing as it's supposed to flow. But of course, I do understand that, you know, it's little by little appreciation, and then it becomes, I mean, a huge thing, right? But at least, you know, I should have been feeling that kind of vibe that, you know, people are actually, I mean, delegating, right? But it doesn't look like that is the case. And I was asking myself a couple of questions, and I think a typical among them was the fact that, I mean, why are, you know, people probably not delegating? Is it that maybe they don't really understand the process? They don't really understand, or they don't even know how to go about delegating to DREPs, or is it that they're just not ready to, you know, want to be part of this governance action as of yet? But or probably they have concerns about confidentiality, as you may put it, right? So talking about confidentiality, to tackle your question specifically, once you delegate to a DREP, right? No one really has the chance of knowing your finances, if I may put it that way, because obviously some people may be having the concern that, okay, if I delegate to a DREP, then it means that I'm putting my balances out there. You know, people can now know my financial balances in terms of, I mean, my other portfolio, right? So I will just keep it to myself and then go to my own, or maybe, you know, you understand. But I just want to say that if you delegate to a DREP, you are not exposing your financial balances in terms of either portfolio, right? However, there are some technicalities in there. So, for instance, if you have sent me either before, all right, and I still have hold of your wallet address, okay, then I can have the chance to actually, I mean, know, and that is even if I'm a technical person, right? If I'm a technical person, then of course I can get to, I mean, know, I'll probably have a bit of information about your balances. It might not be accurate. It might not be accurate in the sense that the balance that you will see on the, I mean, the transaction tracker is usually the balance that, I mean, was recorded as of when the transaction took place. So, for instance, if I send you ADA right now, if I should send you, let's say, if I should send like ADA, and then you take my wallet address, or better, so you take the transaction ID and then you hop onto sexexplorer.io, for instance, and then you perform your search, you would be able to see how much ADA I had before transacting whatever I transacted to you. Okay. But, you know, it takes time. I mean, after time, people probably have transactions, and also it wouldn't really be relevant. And So you shouldn't feel like, people are going to know about your finances once you delegate, right? It is of, no relevance, I would say. The confidentiality is 100%. And even if somebody should be able to see your, if somebody, technical, right? And probably has your address or whatever, should be able to see your balance as of when you're transacting, as of when you're delegating to a pool. They still have no chance or no access to your finances. In terms of your funds in your budget, in your wallet, they have no access to it. It is still yours and yours only. So you are the only person who actually has that control over your wallet. So, if you have to delegate, just feel free. Don't worry about, some of these things because they are not really realistic. The confidentiality, I would say, is 100%. And then the integrity of the system that has been developed is also about 100%. So you just have to, ease yourself, relax, and then, do what you got to do by delegating. Or, of course, if you want to also become a DREP, you can go ahead and register. But, of course, do well to look at your resource capabilities. If you have it, fine. If you don't have it, then you look for a DREP who probably aligns with your principles as an individual in the ecosystem, and then you delegate to them so that the process will be smooth for all of us. I think I have answered your question. Have I?
Yes, Nana Safo. Quickly, Fidelia want to know the amount of data that can be, the amount of data that can be delegated, the minimum.
All right. So thanks for that question as well. During the time where we were doing more of tests, I tried delegating with just 10 ADA in a wallet. It didn't work. So now I presume you need at least 25 ADA to be able to delegate to a DREP, right? But of course, in the upcoming days when we are going to communicate how people can probably become members of the Wada DREP team, you would need at least 500 ADA delegation to qualify. So if you are kind of considering that, then look out for, delegating such amount to the Wada DREP pool. It will be very vital in there. Considerations in choosing who becomes a part of the team and then who doesn't become a part of the team. So 25 ADA minimum should do.
Thank you, boss. Megan, take over.
You're welcome.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to summarize all of that. So maybe if people have questions in French, you should just make sure you ask your questions in French, because I don't think if I summarize, I will do it justice. And I think everyone would have their own specific questions. We are running out of time for today's session. So I think if possible, I'd like to just power through the slides here, and then we'll leave the room probably open a little bit longer for just any additional chatter that needs to happen. But thank you so much, Nana Safo, for presenting and for sharing some insights on the DREPs. We really look forward to continuing to see the updates and to hearing more about how to join. I think that's all quite exciting stuff. But the next thing we wanted to really show you is just FYI, a couple of things that are actually up for vote right now. Given that we don't have a lot of time on today's session, I think we might save this to have more of a discussion about it perhaps next week. The proposals won't, they'll still be live. I think the first one expires early November, so we still have some time to talk about it. And then also all of these votes are actually under the info category. So these are all info actions, which basically just means they're kind of test votes. The outcome of the votes will not change actual parameters at this stage. Although, like you can see here, the first one, should K be increased, that is a technical parameter change. However, this governance action is more about getting community feedback on that, as opposed to actually changing the parameter itself. So just one thing I wanted to note, but I do encourage everyone who's interested in governance, you can check out these governance actions and other ones that come up on the GovTools website. I find that that's pretty user-friendly to look through and to read about the governance actions. And then I propose that perhaps next week or the week after, we find some time to really discuss these. And maybe we can talk about how we go about voting on these and talk about maybe what the Wada DREP is gonna vote on, etc. But just for everyone's information, here's 3 governance actions that are currently being proposed. These are the only live governance actions at this time, but perhaps by next week there will be more to talk about. So there we have it. En français, voilà, il y a 3 actions de gouvernance qui sont à voter maintenant. Nous avons, bon, pour le premier, nous avons jusqu'au début novembre pour le voter. Mais je voulais souligner le fait que ces actions sont sur la catégorie d'information. Ça veut dire que ce ne sont pas des votes qui vont changer des paramètres en, en Cardano. Et sont seulement les actions qui vont démontrer les sentiments de la communauté. Alors, voter que on devrait augmenter le paramètre K. C'est plutôt comprendre le sentiment de la communauté autour de ce sujet et pratiquer, voter dans cet environnement. Mais ces actions ne sont pas trop importantes dans le sens que on ne va rien encore changer avec ces actions. Alors, je vous encourage d'y jeter un coup d'œil. Je vais poster dans le chat le lien du GovTools. Ah, peut-être Samuel a déjà posté, mais je vais poster un autre lien. Je pense que celui-là... Bon, je ne sais pas si c'est la même chose. Samuel, is this the same link to the proposed governance actions?
Yes, Megan. So I posted it
I
so
don't
that
know why
people
mine's so
can.
much shorter. Anyways,
um,
bon, je voulais juste pour finaliser, peut-être dans les sessions précédentes, nous allons avoir plus de temps pour discuter ces points plus en détail. Mais comme il n'y a pas trop de temps aujourd'hui, je propose que vous y jetez un coup d'œil et on en parle peut-être la semaine prochaine. I see that Samuel, yours is just for the should K be increased. So the one I posted is actually for all of the proposals.
Right.
So I mean you can
Right.
it's easy to access between them. So feel free to follow either of those links. Next. All right. So
And wait,
oh yeah.
Megan, do you want to add that for somebody to be able to access the proposal, they need to be verified on the GovTools? So that is, they need to have their wallet connected to the GovTools.
Oh, I don't think you do.
Okay,
By the way,
maybe because
you
I'm
need
running a
to.
direct.
You do need
Yeah.
to vote, but to look at them, you don't need to. But that's a good point. So Nana Safo,
Yeah, I was asking because I'm running a direct, so I tried accessing them and I had to verify by signing it. Signing that I'm actually the owner of the particular wallet that is connected to the GovTool. So maybe that's it. But yeah. Maybe
I'm
for
able,
ordinary people, it is not recommended.
I can do both. I can either be connected with a wallet or not connected. I'm not connected in my current browser, and I can still view them. But that's
awesome.
good to clarify.
Yeah.
All right, so now we get to our section, Cardano Governance Corner. So we want to talk to all of the delegates and alternates who are getting ready to travel. Maybe hear if there are any updates. Raise your hand if you are preparing for travel to Buenos Aires. Sorry, why does it say Buenos Aires? It's Argentina. You threw me off. I even was just reading the slide.
Buenos Aires is the capital of Argentina. That's where the events actually happening.
Yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
there we go. That's good. No, it just my brain isn't working. Thank you. Mermos, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. I was looking for the
Okay.
place to raise my hand. I wasn't seeing it.
I had a sense you wanted to raise your hand.
But yeah,
We heard from
I
you
can't
last week
really-
on some of the struggles. So do you want to give us any update on how things are advancing?
Yeah, so far we got our passports, so on that we are good. And now we are going to the next stage. We need to start planning for Nigeria, and so we are waiting the response on the Cardano's part. So
All right, excellent.
Memos, what do you mean you got your passports? Do you rather refer to the invitation letters?
no. The invitation letters hasn't come yet because we needed to have our passports. My passport was expired, and the delegate had no passport, so we needed to apply for a passport before we got it yesterday. Yeah.
So it means that getting the invitation letters is still a challenge, right?
Yes, it's still pending because we now we sent an email to Michael to change to give them our passport number so that they can use it for the invitation letter now.
Do you have any idea when you are getting them?
So far, no. I sent him an email, but I haven't gotten any answer yet from him. So I think maybe by tonight he will answer. Let's see.
Okay, you were able to send your passport numbers.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, it seems like they're quite active, but also it seems like they have a lot going on. So my understanding is that they are trying to pay directly for the different travel. And then for different things like visas, it's more of a reimbursement process. But just so everyone is kind of on the same page with that. I don't know if anyone else here is preparing to travel, if you want to share about your experiences.
And Memos, who is funding this at this moment? Your traveling, your visa application, and everything. Are you pre-financing or that is being sorted out?
Yeah, DIT is pre-financing it. So we still do Megan. We manage it with Megan, and so the Cameroon Hub is financing it for now.
Oh, okay, that's good. Megan, thanks up for pre-financing everything.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure. I think it's kind of one of these this is kind of the point of our WADA hubs, right? To be like points of reference for people in the community who have these opportunities, and then opportunities are given to them, right? Like traveling. But some of the realities of the ground aren't always fully understood from, the other point of view, right? So it's very easy for someone to intersect to sort of say, it's no problem, we'll pay for everything. Just go ahead and get it started and we'll reimburse you, without understanding, the local context of, maybe it's not actually possible to pre-fund some of these things. Even like the different sites, a lot of the options to pay, it's like you have to have a credit card, for example, which doesn't also fit with the local reality sometimes. So so this is kind of just a highlight of what our hubs are, providing for the community. And one of the reasons.
I'm actually quite familiar with the challenges from our part of the world in terms of these things. That's why I really wanted to know how this is being financed and everything. So thanks to DIT for taking that initiative and, making sure they get all that they need. And hopefully, Interset will reimburse you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Ramos, your hand is back up. Feel
Yeah.
free.
Yeah, I wanted to say that this is one of the issues that we'll definitely need to address in Argentina. I mean, this disparity of kind of context, and so far they really don't understand it. And somehow that needs to be stated as strongly as possible. Like someone, they'll say, no, you can go ahead and but they'll refund you. Yeah, for you it's $200. Yes, it's fine. Maybe your salary is at $2,000. But $200 for most people here is their monthly salary. Like, what do you mean? Like, you refund me? Like, when?
So Memos, if you remember last week, I told you that
Yeah.
this is the biggest opportunity for you guys to fully represent our views and our opinions and, the situation on the ground in terms of where we come from and the challenges that we go through in some of these things. So I am just praying and hoping that all the processes that you are going through will materialize. At the end of the day, you get your visas, travel arrangements, and everything. In the end, you find yourself in Argentina, and you can, you can really drum home some of these things we are sharing here.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I saw this also when we were organizing, and this wasn't on my part because I know this already how. Most of the participants were complaining about all these bureaucracies and all these papers, all these things to read and to. They were like, yeah, but it's too much. And I was understanding it. They were like, yeah, just to vote, you have to register through this and then do this and then do that. To them, the procedures were way too complicated. And also, the one thing that we noticed during the preparation is that when you ask people for their emails, they get really suspicious. It's far easier for them to give you their phone numbers. Yes, they will give you their phone numbers, no question. But if you ask them their email, they get suspicious. Like, what are you going to do with it? So the context of, just send me your email, it might work for them. But here on the ground, we saw that it doesn't work. People are even more
you get a lot more spam and viruses that can be sent by email. You're not really texting people viruses.
Exactly. So people are like, what are you going to do with my email? Like, I'd rather give you my phone number knowing that you write to me on WhatsApp. It's less dangerous, at least the perception. So people are more likely to use social network like WhatsApp to organize anything rather than using their emails. So these are local contexts that we need to know about and actually voice it like, there should be some margin.
But I am quite surprised. Because I thought that it's actually the other way around. It is emails that are supposed to be giving, and sometimes people, become a bit skeptical or hesitating giving phone numbers. But
that's what I was actually going to highlight. Like I thought in some other context, I would feel differently about it.
Yeah.
I know people trust more the numbers because they know that in case something happens, they can just throw it in a voice call and actually see who is behind the call. And if you don't pick it, they just bail. That's what they told me because I asked questions. I wanted to understand why we had that feeling, and so there's really that difference of context that we really need to work out. That will be voiced. That's for sure.
Note some of these things down. In Argentina, God willing. Let your voices be heard as loud as you can. Yeah. Everything will be fine. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks, Memos, for sharing about your experiences. I think at this point, we will sort of officially close the Wada Forum for this week. But for those of you who do want to hang around and chat a little bit more, you are welcome to stay with us. We'll pull up the references page again, just a reminder of where you can access some of the different knowledges. And thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup à tout le monde d'être venu ici avec nous aujourd'hui. Thank you so much for attending this week's forum, for participating, and we look forward to seeing you next week.